For 70 years, your immune system maintained the most heavily policed border on Earth. On one side, 30 trillion human cells, your organs, your blood, your brain. On the other, 38 trillion bacteria, a 200-gram occupation force lining every surface of your gut, your skin, your lungs. The border held because both sides needed each other. The bacteria broke down fibers your enzymes couldn't touch. They manufactured vitamins your genome doesn't code for. They trained your immune system to distinguish friend from threat. In return, you gave them a warm, dark, nutrient-rich environment. It was a treaty, not a friendship. But here's what the treaty doesn't tell you. Those 38 trillion organisms signal your gut lining to produce neurotransmitters, the same ones your brain uses to regulate mood, appetite, and behavior. 90% of the serotonin in your body is manufactured not in your skull, but in your intestine. Your gut bacteria are sending signals up the vagus nerve, the longest nerve in your body, directly into your brainstem. And when researchers transplanted gut bacteria from anxious mice into calm ones, the calm mice became anxious. The bacteria didn't just influence behavior, they transferred it. You are not a single organism making independent decisions. You are a committee, and most of the members aren't human. Let's establish the scale. Your gut microbiome, the community of microorganisms living primarily in your large intestine, contains hundreds of distinct species of bacteria, along with viruses, fungi, and archaea. Together, these organisms carry roughly 3.3 million unique genes, about 150 times more genetic information than your own human genome. This genetic library gives the microbiome capabilities your human cells don't have. Certain gut bacteria can break down complex plant fibers that your digestive enzymes can't touch. Others synthesize essential vitamins, vitamin K, several B vitamins, biotin, that your body cannot produce on its own. Others train your immune system by exposing it to microbial patterns from birth, teaching it to distinguish between self and threat. Without this training, the immune system misfires, attacking food proteins, pollen, or even your own tissues. The microbiome isn't a passenger. It's a co-pilot that your body literally cannot function without. In the early 2010s, a series of studies in rodents revealed something that startled neuroscience. Germ-free mice raised in sterile environments with no gut bacteria, showed dramatically altered behavior. They were more anxious. They had impaired memory. They showed abnormal social behavior. When researchers transplanted gut bacteria from calm mice into the germ-free mice, their behavior normalized. The mechanism? The gut-brain axis. Your gut is connected to your brain through the vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in your body, running from your brainstem to your abdomen. Gut bacteria signal the enterochromophane cells lining your gut to produce serotonin and other neurotransmitters that travel along this nerve and influence brain function. About 90% of the body's serotonin is produced in the gut, not in the brain. Certain lactobacillus strains produce GABA. Others influence dopamine pathways. The implications for mental health are staggering. Research is now exploring whether anxiety, depression, and even autism spectrum disorder have a microbiome component, not as the sole cause, but as a contributing factor that has been almost entirely overlooked by traditional psychiatry. The gut isn't just digesting food, it's participating in cognition. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Different bacterial species thrive on different substrates. Bacteria that feed on sugar flourish when you eat sugar. Bacteria that feed on fiber flourish when you eat vegetables. And here's the disturbing part. Research suggests that your gut bacteria can influence your cravings. They do this by producing signaling molecules that affect your vagus nerve, your reward circuits, and even your mood. When sugar-feeding bacteria are abundant, they generate signals that make you crave more sugar, because more sugar means more food for them. You feel the craving as your own desire, but it may be, at least in part, a signal from an ecosystem that's optimizing for its own survival. A 2014 review in Bioessays argued that gut microbes manipulate host eating behavior through multiple mechanisms, altering taste receptors, producing toxins that make you feel bad until you eat what they want, and generating reward signals when you comply. This doesn't mean you're a puppet, but it means the voice saying, "I need chocolate at 3 p.m." might not be entirely yours. Antibiotics are one of the greatest medical inventions in human history. They are also the most powerful disruptors of the microbiome. A single course of broad-spectrum antibiotics doesn't just kill the infection, it kills indiscriminately across your entire gut ecosystem. Studies show that antibiotic exposure reduces microbial diversity by 25 to 50%, and full recovery can take 6 to 12 months. In some cases, certain species never return. The consequences aren't just digestive. Reduced microbial diversity is associated with increased risk of obesity, autoimmune disease, allergies, and recurrent infections, particularly Clostridioides difficile, which kills roughly 20,000 Americans per year by exploiting the ecological vacuum left after antibiotics. This isn't an argument against antibiotics. They save lives. It's an argument for precision. Taking antibiotics for a viral infection, which they don't treat, is ecological destruction with zero medical benefit. And yet, overprescription remains one of the most persistent problems in modern medicine. Every unnecessary course of antibiotics is a forest fire in an ecosystem you depend on. The microbiome you carry as an adult was largely established in the first 1,000 days of your life, from birth to roughly age 3. Vaginal birth exposes the newborn to the mother's vaginal and gut bacteria, Lactobacillus, Bifidobacterium, which colonize the infant's sterile gut immediately. Cesarean-born infants are instead colonized by skin and hospital bacteria, resulting in a measurably different microbial composition that persists for months to years. Breastfeeding further shapes the ecosystem. Human breast milk contains over 200 human milk oligosaccharides, complex sugars that the infant cannot digest. They exist solely to feed specific beneficial bacteria in the infant's gut. The mother is literally farming her baby's microbiome through her breast milk. By age 3, the microbial community stabilizes into a pattern that resembles the adult microbiome. This early window is critical. Disruptions during this period, whether from antibiotics, diet, or environmental factors, can have lasting consequences for immune development, metabolic health, and even neurological function. If the microbiome is an ecosystem, then the goal isn't finding a magic probiotic pill. It's ecological diversity. Diversity correlates with health. Low diversity correlates with disease. The single most effective intervention for microbial diversity is dietary fiber variety. Not just eating fiber, eating many different types of fiber from many different plant sources. A 2018 study from the American Gut Project found that people who ate 30 or more different plant types per week had significantly more diverse microbiomes than those who ate 10 or fewer, regardless of whether they identified as vegan, vegetarian, or omnivore. The number 30 sounds daunting, but it includes herbs, spices, nuts, seeds, grains, legumes, fruits, and vegetables. A curry with 8 spices counts 8 toward your 30. Fermented foods, yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, introduce live bacteria and have been shown to reduce inflammatory markers. Avoiding unnecessary antibiotics preserves existing diversity, and exposure to diverse environments, soil, nature, animals, contributes microbial input that sterile urban environments don't provide. We think of ourselves as individuals, one body, one brain, one identity. The microbiome challenges that assumption. You are a superorganism, a cooperative of human cells and microbial cells that evolve together, depend on each other, and communicate constantly. The bacteria in your gut influence what you crave, how you feel, how your immune system responds, and possibly how you think. They were seeded at birth, shaped by your mother's milk, altered by every course of antibiotics, and maintained by every meal you eat. You are not you without them. The 200 grams of bacteria in your gut aren't passengers, they're partners. And the more we learn about them, the less clear the boundary between you and them becomes.